The most expensive mistake in Google Shopping campaigns isn't high CPCs or bad targeting. It's letting product disapprovals reset your campaign learnings. Want to notice error and you're back to day one of optimization. Here's a story that might sound familiar. I updated the pricing on my products for a flash sale and I just forgot to sync the feed immediately. Simple mistake, right? By the time I checked Merchant Center the next morning, 200 products were disapproved for price mismatch. My best performing shopping campaign dead. And here's the kicker. After I got everything fixed and reapproved, it went straight back into learning. So 2 months of solid campaign data gone. Back to unpredictable CPCs and volatile conversions. All because I didn't catch a simple pricing sync issue for 12 hours. Today I'm going to show you an automated GMC monitoring system that emails you the moment something goes wrong with exactly what's broken and how to fix it. You'll catch these issues before they kill your campaign momentum. Here's what most people don't know. Google's API actually gives you detailed error codes that are not easily seen on their dashboard. I built a tracking system that catches these errors in real time and tells you exactly how to fix them. Let me show you. So the first step is to set up your Google Merchant Center API access. In order to do that, you're going to need a Google Cloud Console. So let's take a look here in the platform. In order for this whole system to run, which is the automation we're building out today, you need this Google Service account that has access to the Google Merchant Center. So I'll show you first on how to set this up. First, you're going to need Google Cloud Console. So if you don't have one, make sure you create an account. And then after you create one, and you set up the billing so the system works, you want to go to I am an admin and then just click into that full section. And then once you're there, you want to go to service accounts and create a new service account. And then you want to, name this wherever you want, probably something to do with GMC because that's what this will be used for. And then once you create it, for permissions, I'm going to look here in my notes, but you're going to want to do the service account user and a service usage consumer. So let's do that real quick. Accounts user, and then also service consumer. There we go. Yeah, I don't know why it gave me an error there for a sec, but you don't need to do anything there. So this is what we just created. And after you do that, make sure you go up here and search up Merchant API and make sure this is toggle on. This just makes sure that your service account has the ability to pull Merchant Center API data in the first place. Once that is done, next step is going to be to create a key. Because right here, you see that we don't have any keys yet for this test that we just created. So let's go ahead and manage keys and add key and create new key. And you want to select JSON. Once you do that, it will make you download a file. This has all the goodies you need for later on. And just, kind of save this for now. Next step is to hit back here. And you want to actually copy this email and go over to your Merchant Center. And you want to go to the settings section and then people and access. And then you're going to want to add a person and just place that email right there and just give it standard access. And then you want to go into your n8n account if you have one. If you don't, make sure to set it up because you're going to need this. And go into credentials, create a credential, and then you want to look for service accounts. Service account. So I was here and then I just copied that. Okay, so back here. So you're going to want to copy this whole private key. And the best way to do that is just go all the way back here. And literally right before those two, what is it called? Quotation marks, parentheses, whatever. You want to copy all that till the beginning, right before the other parentheses. And then we're going to go back into where we're setting up that credential. And you want to paste that in. And then here you want to also toggle on setup for using HTTP request node because we're going to be using it in the HTTP request node. And then in that section, you just want to put in this exact URL, HTTP googlelepus.com auth content. And then once you click save, it should show that connection is tested successfully. And this is everything you need to do in order to pull data directly from your exact merchant center. So once you're at this step, now we're ready to go to step 2, and that's actually building out the nodes in n8n. So here we're in the workflow where it does everything we want it to do to send us alerts as soon as something goes wrong in an account. So let's take a look at this node by node. First, we have an hourly trigger because I want to know on an hourly basis if there's any new disapprovals that are in an account. Then we have an HTTP request node. If I click into this, I'm going to actually change the credential type to be the one we just created, just to show you that this works. It's pulling data. And for the URL, you're going to want to do that exact one right there. And then this is the Google Merchant Center account ID. And then for authentication, you want to click predefine credential type and pick the Google Service Account API type, and then just select the one that you created. As you can see, it should work if you follow my steps directly. Then you're going to want to toggle on send query parameters and put in max uppercase results and put value as 250. That means it's going to show you up to 250 disapprovals at a time. If you have more than that, you're just fucked. For key, you're actually going to want to go back into the Google Cloud Console and create it real quick. It's not going to take too long. You're going to want to go to the hamburger bar and then API services and then credentials. And once you get there, you should see this page. And then we're creating an API key. So we're going to click create credential API key and then give it some time to load. And then boom. So we're going to copy that. And then actually we want to go into here, edit it, and restrict the key because we don't want it to have API everything in the world. We want it to just be able to access Merchant Center data for this specific use case. So I'm going to select APIs and then find Merchant Center right here, Merchant API. So we're going to click OK and then save that. Great. So now in here, I'm going to put in that new key that we created. So again, show key, copy that, put that in here. Boom, should work. There we go. Because without it, it probably won't work. Next, we just need the content type to be application JSON, and we want it to also accept application JSON. After you do all that, you should be able to start pulling any current disapprovals that you have in that GMC account. And it might be worth actually creating a fake one just so you can make sure that this whole system is working correctly. Next, we want to parse the results for it to be ready to be pushed in through email. So right now, the HTTP request only returned one item, and it's really unstructured data that we're not able to do anything with. So what this parse node does is it takes it and it's going to create multiple items out of it. So we should see 32 because that's how many disapproved items I have in this test store. And if we look at the code here, here's what it does. Actually, I don't know what it does, but just email me if you want a copy of it. You could go to ChatGPT or Claude, put in the output from the HTTP request node, and just tell it that you want to parse it into items that could then be processed into other n8n nodes. So it should give you something similar to this, but if you want this the same exact one, just email me and I'll give it to you. After we parse it, then we go into filtering for disapprovals. If we take a closer look at what this filter node does, it's checking to make sure that the product is not approved and that it's not under review. Because if it is, then it's not a live disapproval that needs immediate action. If both of these things are true, then we want to basically check to see if the product is already in our Google Sheet. Why do we want to do that? Because we don't want to send the same exact disapproval every hour. That's going to be a pain in the ass and really annoying. So what I have set up here is a way to check if that disapproval has been shared on the exact date. And if it has, then we don't share it until the next day. So now it's not going to be 24 reminders a day. It'll be just one. All that Google Sheet is just a small database of all the product disapprovals that have happened. All I'm doing in this combined node is checking to see if there's a combination of product ID and trigger date that is similar in both the new things that we're pulling and also the current sheet. If there are differences, that means that this is a new case, in which case we want to push it to the emails. However, if we already gave that trigger and it's also the same date, then we don't want to push it through. And just to look at the read sheet node for Google Sheets, it's very straightforward. All we're doing is connecting the Gmail to which we have the Google Sheets that we want to access, and just selecting that in the documents and just pulling all the data from it, right? So once that happens, then it goes to the combined node and it just does that checking to make sure we're not pushing data that we don't want to push. Once we do find cases where we want to push through the alerts, we just have a pen sheet node again for Google Sheets. And here we want to select that same document. And for mapping column mode, I just select map automatically. So first time you run this, I would actually have a completely blank sheet, because once you do this, it's going to put in that first column for you. And every additional time it happens, is going to know how to map it like perfectly, because it literally will pull in the exact field names on the top. So after that, I have a loop over items node, because I just want to make sure that if there's over 50 disapprovals, that I batch them into multiple emails. That way the emails don't give me any errors for, too much data being pushed through them. So again, I have a 50 here for batch size. And then the next node is going to be another code node. What this does is it just aggregates all the data for email. And if we take a look at what it looks like, it's a really short email. Again, I'm not a programmer, so I don't know what it's doing, but same scenario, just like put it into Claude or ChatGPT and tell it, hey, here's my current data. I want to process it and turn it into one array for email to, send it as an automation. So you could also copy this from this video or send me an email and I will share it with you. So here's what it looks like in action when I push through all the different items individually. It just creates one big item again, right? So we basically went from one item coming in from the HTTP request. We separated it out into multiple items to process the data and push it into Google Sheets. Now we're putting it back into one, because now we want to make sure we format it for email. So after that's done, it's going to just send the one email that's all clean and has everything that you might need in order to troubleshoot those issues. So this is what it looks like as final outcome. All 32 issues are being pushed through an email. And for each one, it gives a direct link to Shopify and GMC on where you could start fixing the problem. And also it tells you exactly the issues that are found and documentation for it. So really goated setup. Probably will save you a lot of time and energy, especially if you're managing multiple accounts. And yeah, not too hard to set up. There's nothing crazy going on, no insane logic, just a lot of automations and API access. So today you learned how to set up an hourly GMC monitor that checks for disapprovals, batches them its email alerts, and then gives you the direct links to fixing them in the Merchant Center. So once you have your API credentials sorted, just email me to get this workflow. It'll take around 10 minutes to set up, and the email's in the description. I've been using this exact system for 6 months, and I've never had a single campaign reset due to missed disapprovals. Now it's your turn to try it. Let me know how it goes.